Hi, this is Nita with LXV. Welcome to another video of wine and spice pairings. And we were just discussing what we are doing this weekend. What are you doing, Nayoka?
Working. I'm pouring wine.
You are pouring because she's working at LXV this weekend. It was a trick question for you. As for me, Kunal and I were actually going to the Magic Castle in Los Angeles because Kunal is an amateur magician, as many of you know, and we are going with a bunch of friends and actually a winemaker, Jordan from Epic, and it's going to be a fun one. We're looking forward to it. But let's dive into this wine and spice, and nothing short of magic. Speaking of magic, and nothing short of Canal's presence, because we are talking about Cabernet Franc. Cab Franc is Canal's love, of course, the right bank of Bordeaux, but Cab Franc specifically. We actually do a Cab Franc festival with LXV end of the year, December, and the beauty of this Cabernet Franc, as much as it's about Cabernet Franc, honestly, this wine is about the site. This is a vineyard called Portico Hills down in Santa Ynez area. Beauty of this vineyard, it's steep, it's rock, it's limestone. You walk and there are these big limestones and then just pebbles and deep rooted vines, but also it's interesting, it's own rooted, which a lot of times, as you know, we plant vines that are grafted. But this is its own rooted Cabernet Franc, which is very rare to come by. And because we are a Cab Franc house in so many ways, it's great to find a vineyard that has its own rooted Cabernet Franc with such a beautiful terroir. This is the interesting part though. This Cabernet Franc, because of the terroir, and sits right at the almost like the entire hill faces the ocean side, the dunes of Pismo, in that direction. The expression of Cabernet Franc you get is very much like the wines of Loire Valley. The Cabernet Franc that you get from this vineyard, there is this certain lift, a certain silk, a certain poise to the Cabernet Franc, very different from what you would find from for the wines that come from Bordeaux, or even different from a different Cabernet Franc that we do, which is from G2 North, which is literally a mile, or not even like half a mile north of Armand, which is our estate. So just goes to show the effect that terroir has, as far flung as Loire, or really as close as Portico Hills in Santa Ynez. So this is our reserve Cabernet Franc. Our club reserves, it's interesting. For us, our reserve wines are, they are our barrel select, site select. So they're really, it's the best of the best that make our reserve wine. So let's taste the wine. So that this, it's interesting. It's a Cabernet Franc, but whatever I'm going to say, it's going to sound almost like I'm describing something that just kissed Margot in some sense. This on the nose, violets, just beautiful violets, but also rose petals. There is these really, it's very flowery, and I think it's a lot of that has to do with the violets. Interesting story. David Clancy, who's a master sommelier, phenomenal wine educator, we hosted his team of aspiring wine educators, and we paired this wine with octopus, grilled octopus, with just drops of violet oil infused in the olive oil, and that's how we grilled the octopus, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. He still talks about that dinner, and I think this pairing was a highlight. So it was a fun one. That's what I would call simpatico. So the violets in Cabernet Franc is such a highlight, especially coming from terroirs like Loire Valley or like Portico Hills. Let's taste. With Cabernet Franc comes this brightness, this rush of acidity, like this backbone that it gives to a Bordeaux varietal that we, my mouth is still watering from the acidity. It gives that acidity to Bordeaux varietals that we forget most of the times, that Bordeaux varietals are capable of having that brightness and having that structure. Um, just very bright fruit, a lot of red fruit on this, a lot of cherries. But the violets, I know it's something, it's an olfactory, it's on the nose, but it's still dominating this whole experience, which is really, really fantastic. Let's get into the pairing. So this is this is a fun one. So this is more contrasting than complementing. The violet oil pairing with the dish I told you was very complementing. This is a contrasting one. So this is coffee, orange peel. Um, it has nutmeg. This one is
lavender and demerara sugar.
Lavender and demerara sugar. This is Nayoka, she's helping me remember. And the idea with this actually was inspired by Brazil and the carnival in Brazil. So it's a fun one for us to do. The idea to bring the coffee is all the bitter and the contrasting notes to the wine. There is this demerara sugar, which really actually softens the bitterness of the coffee, but also plays with the fruit in the wine. And then you have nutmeg, and I think there is cumin. Am I making that up?
So.
Yes, that we have some cumin, and that really plays with a little bit of the warmth that comes from the oak aging. So let's give this a try. On its own is just coffee, but when you bring it together, this is something that occurred to me. Think about this. This is like bringing a daily ritual of coffee, a morning ritual of coffee, interacting with a daily, which I hope is daily, evening ritual of wine, and how they meet, and they meet pretty flamboyantly. It's amazing to see how the wine really took the bitter edge off the coffee and really was, coffee has an umami to it. Coffee has a certain umami to it which escapes us a lot of times because of the bitterness. That's why we add cream, that's why we add sugar, to take the bitterness, the edge, the tannin off, so you can actually enjoy that essence of coffee. And I think the wine is doing the same. It's taking the bitterness off and just bringing up the umami in the wine, in the coffee. When was coffee ever listed as an umami? But trust me, it is. That's why you reach for that thing in the morning. Not only because it's caffeine, but it just has this very earthy taste to it. But the combination really flourishes the fruit in the wine as well, and that's why whenever we pair wine with something that's bitter or something that has an intensity like a smokiness, it really lifts the fruit in the wine. And earlier when I told you, when I was tasting the wine, I was getting more of the violets. However, with this pairing, the violets still stay. They're really enhancing the olfactories for me, but the fruit has now lifted, like this fruit is talking to me, because the bitterness in the coffee is allowing for the fruit to really, really shine. This serves the wine. It's interesting when you do food and wine pairings. Sometimes the wine serves the food, sometimes the food serves the wine. To me, this pairing really, really serves the wine because this is our reserve. It's a very complex wine, and bringing these notes, the orange peel and then the coffee and the nutmeg, it's really bringing out nuances in this wine that we want you to discover, because we make a very limited number of cases of this wine. And so to have something with this wine that will bring out, nurture the wine in its depth is a fun one to do. So how would I use this? A great rub on steak, I would say. Coffee, what else would I do with this? And I know we've done a bunch of recipes with this coffee. What do you think, Nayoka?
I would dust truffles with it. Chocolate truffles.
Chocolate. I like that.
I like making chocolate truffles at Christmas. This would be a beautiful spice.
I love that idea.
Dark
chocolate truffles. No sugar, just this. And then just a sip of LXV or any other wine that you would like, or even cognac. That would be a fun one. The other pairing I was just thinking with the coffee is maybe not a mushroom toast. I don't know why my mind went towards mushroom toast. Maybe not, but maybe a if you've ever had the I think I want to try this. If you've ever had the sea bass at Nobu, where they do a lot of they marinate it with miso and soy. I would love to actually try that. We should just try this for Christmas with our team, just for fun. Is do a concoction of this coffee and just marinate the sea bass with that concoction and pair it with this wine. I'm very curious to see what that tastes like. But anytime you play with food and wine and spices, like ditch the ordinary, ditch the possible, ditch the rudimentary, ditch what comes to your mind first and try something different. If nothing, you have experienced flavors that you wouldn't have tried before. There's no wrong way of doing food and wine. Well, maybe there is, but for the most part, just go where your fascination takes you, not your intellect, and that's the best way to do it. All right, enjoy your food and wine pairings, and we will see you on the other side with some more of fun wine and food. Take care. Bye.